So the first thing I want to break down is where to find these friend lists. So when you sign on to Facebook, and I'm going to be honest, I do all of my Facebooking from my laptop. I'm not one of those people that's Facebooking on my cell phone. Things are going to look a little different if you're on mobile, but from the desktop, you're going to go into the far left-hand column, and at the very bottom, there are some tabs categorized under the title Explore. You're going to want to click on See More to expand all of those tabs. And it looks like it's the 8th one down on my list is Friend Lists. So you're going to expand that, find Friend Lists under the Explore options and click on Friend Lists. So when you go into the Friend List tab, this is where you can see the lists that already exist for you. Now, some of them may be auto-generated. If you see a little brown briefcase to the left of a list, that means that it's generated from a business that you said you worked for. So it's going to automatically pull in any of your other friends who also identified that they worked for that business. If you see one that has a little graduation cap, that is pulling in people who went to the same educational institutions that you identified, whether that is a high school, a college, whatever school type. The pin, like the map marker pin, is pulling in people who are in the areas in which you are either from or the areas in which you live. There's a family group that looks like a little yellow house, close friends that is a yellow star, acquaintances looks like a blue person, and then the restricted list is a stop sign with like a white negative sign in the middle of it. I'm sure there's a word for that, but I'm not sure exactly what it is. From here, you can also create custom lists. So if you wanted to create a list, let's just say, of people who have been a guest on your podcast, you can hit Create List, name your list as podcast guests, and then enter whatever members you want included in that list. Then, once you have your list set up, when you go to your timeline and you want to make a post, you can type in whatever you want to post, and before you just hit share, you are able to check if you want it to go to your news feed or your story or both. So for this example, let's just say we want it to go to our news feed, and then towards the right, you'll see a drop-down menu where you can identify if you want this post to be public, which means anyone on or off Facebook can see it, if you want it to go only to your friends, if you want it to go to friends except certain people, or if you want it to go to only yourself, which means nobody else will see it. When you click on the More button, you can also identify to only show it to specific friends. So this is a way where you can really control who sees what information. So if we click on Friends Except, this is where you can identify specific people or a list of people that you don't want to see this post. Do you see how this could be helpful? So, in my example, when I was working at Facebook, if I had a post that I wanted to make, but I didn't want my friends from Facebook to see it, then I could exclude people who were on the Facebook list from seeing that post. Here, as an example, you can see that I've blocked off my acquaintances list. So this is getting into how I use it. Let's talk about that. So, I've showed you where the lists are, I've showed you how to make a new list, and we've talked about how to segment who sees what. You can exclude lists, or if you go to More and go to specific friends, you can put if you only want a certain list to see it. So let's just say I only wanted that to go to my family. I could save that change, and now it's only going to a specific list. So you really have complete and total control over what groups of people see what content on your timeline. So how do I personally leverage this for me? All right, let me show you. So I'm going to go in here to my friend requests. I have a few, and I am going to just choose one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at her stuff. I'm going to see, I don't know her personally, but we've got some mutual friends who tell me that she is a local business owner, and therefore it's possible that she'd want to connect with me for business purposes. So I'm going to accept her friend request, confirm request. And then the next step that I'm going to take is I'm going to go in here to the categories. So it automatically identifies that she is a friend because I accepted her. Now, if she is like a really good friend, maybe she's a close friend, a family member, I could choose to put her in the close friends group, which I know is going to give her a priority in my newsfeed, and it will send me notifications to let me know when she posts. But I don't need that from her. I actually don't really know her, so I'm going to put her on my acquaintances list. This is how I choose to use the list. It's very simple. It's very basic. I don't get too deep into all of the custom lists like I showed you first. Instead, I just take each request and I say, do I know them? Like, are we really friends? And if we are really friends, then I will uncheck acquaintances, and then they'll be friends with a check mark. Like, that's how you know. If it's a check mark, then they're an actual friend. Typically, that means I am comfortable with them seeing anything I have to say or share on Facebook. Now I can switch them to acquaintance, and when I do that, it gives them this little, it looks like a Rolodex file to me, or a business card. And that's how I know that this is a person that I have made a decision to connect with. However, we don't have a personal connection. So I could, if I wanted to post a picture of my kids in a bubble bath or something that, you know, I want to be a little more careful about who sees it, I could exclude my acquaintances from seeing that post. So my business people wouldn't see it, my clients wouldn't see it, but my actual real life friends would. Now, you could also go in here and click add on another list, and then you're able to use any of those custom lists or create a new list like we talked about. So you could get super fancy with putting them in, you know, potential clients, current clients, acquaintances, and any other categories that you'll want to use. That's going to be a personal preference for you. However, I really love that. Now, the other thing you have the option of doing when you make the decision to add a friend request is controlling how often you see them in your newsfeed. So you can identify that you want to see their content first at the top of your newsfeed, that you want to see all of their posts as usual, or that you don't want to see their content. So you could unfollow that person, and now you've made the relationship, you know, you've made the connection, but you're not going to see their content in your feed all the time.